Hello! Today I'm starting the most important step in planning this year's garden. I'm Zorab and this is Byther Farm. It's a cold and windy mid-January day. We've got a storm on the way. We have storm warnings for the next couple of days, but the sun is shining today, so I've popped out to the garden to start one of my favourite processes for the year, and that is starting to plan what I'll be planting where. And although I don't follow a strict rotation because so many of the plants are in the ground permanently, and also because I can put in 2, 3 or 4 crops into each bed throughout the growing year. And this bed back in the spring had onions in it that I had planted from sets in the autumn, so November-ish last year, and I'd then put in a few lettuces in the spring. So the lettuces have been and gone, except for these ones which have gone to seed, but I am leaving some of them to go to seed to collect the seeds from them. So there's a few that have gone to seed. So onions came out and turnips went in. They came out, carrots have gone in, they came out, next lot of carrots have gone in, and also some celeriac as well. I do want to try and make sure that I'm not immediately putting brassicas where brassicas have just come out, likewise with root veg. Beans, well, quite a lot of the beans stay where they are, so they are literally going to be where they were last year because they'll be the same plants. So I do have a vague rotation, but it's not strict, and I don't worry about it too much. So while I'm out here reminding myself where everything grew this year, I'm going to take the cover off this purple sprouting broccoli. It's ready to harvest, and the ducks can have the larger leaves. I'm hoping they won't take the florets, they don't usually. There we go. So I start this planning process with some really intentional observations. I'm really careful looking and making notes of what's going on in each bed and how things have grown this year. Now, I don't use a pen and paper for this process. I use my phone, and I record onto my phone. So I walk through the garden dictating notes effectively onto my phone. And then I can get inside, listen back through to that, and it's got all the thoughts and all the comments that I have about each bed and each part of the garden, and I find that much easier than walking around with pen and paper trying to make notes and then not being able to read my scribbly writing. I've got all my thoughts as I walk around. So this bed, for example, was the one that had potatoes and peas in it, and I know that I've decided not to grow peas in between rows of potatoes again. There's lots of peas growing in this bed, and I'm still picking fresh pea shoots from here. It's also got some of the Greek gigantes beans that have grown as perennials in it, and this year I sowed a whole load of green manure in it. Well, that doesn't seem to have appeared. What has appeared is loads of moss, and that has come from the grass clippings that I put on to cover the potatoes. So I need to hoe that, and I need to make notes that I need to hoe it to keep on top of it and to get some mulch on it. The ducks have come to see what I'm doing. And I also make reminders to myself for any structural changes I want to make in the garden. like I did when I removed the front half of this construction last week. I might want to remove the back half and reorientate where the turkeys are going to be to further over that way. It's a thought. And the other thing I can do while I'm out here is just remind myself of how many rows of onions and shallots I put in here, and I can see it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm saying 6. I can see 6 because I know that I want onions and I want to interplant those with beans this year, so I've left a wide enough pathway here to have a row of beans. And I've basically left enough space between the rest of it to have my boot each side of the onions. I'll walk around on a day like today. Also gives me a chance to see what has survived the winter so far, and what's looking good and what needs some TLC. Hello, do you need some TLC? Hello you. Come and say hello. Hello Monty, he's a good chap. So these beds have done okay. The roses have done well. There's loads of stinging nettles and things in here which I hadn't noticed before now. You alright? There you go, boy. There you go. And it just gives me a chance to kind of have a proper look. I mean, in the early spring it's all hands on deck, it's all sowing and planting and getting stuff into the ground really quickly. Half an hour of observing now and then again in a couple of weeks time will refresh my mind properly of how the garden is, what has come through the winter and what hasn't. And I've just noticed some rhubarb which I didn't think was going to make it through the winter has, so that's great news. Even the turkeys think so. It gives me a chance to remind myself what is where in the flower beds, and it almost gives me a chance to fall back in love with the growing space that we have after a few weeks of being shut inside and not being able to access this because it's just been so wet and cold. And then it also gives me a chance to remind myself if there are any gaps in any of the beds or any trees that need replacing or adding to. And while I'm out here, one of the things that I get so much pleasure from is having a look for signs of spring and for new growth, and a reminder that it is the start of another growing year. And so wherever you are in the world and whatever you've got planned for this week, I hope it's a good one, and I also hope you'll join me again next time.